This is one of the hardest balances to walk because on one side you've been hurt before, maybe multiple times, maybe in ways that left you questioning whether you even want to try again. So you build walls, you protect yourself, you tell yourself you're just being careful, but really you're just keeping everyone out. On the other side, you're human, you want connection, you want to be seen, you want to love and be loved, and that requires vulnerability, which is the exact thing your walls are designed to prevent. So, how do you do both? How do you protect your heart without closing it off completely? Let's talk about it. First, let's be honest about what protection actually is. Most people think that protecting their heart means building walls, thick ones, high ones, walls that say you can't hurt me because I won't let you in. But walls don't protect your heart, walls imprison it. They keep everything out, including the love you actually want. You end up safe but isolated, protected but lonely, and that's not protection, that's self imposed exile. Real protection is not a wall. Real protection is a door with a lock, one that you control. You get to decide who comes in, you get to decide when to open it, but the door stays functional. It doesn't get bricked up. The difference between boundaries and walls. This is where most people get confused. A wall says, no one can get close to me. A boundary says, you can get close, but here's how you need to treat me. A wall is rigid, it doesn't move, it doesn't discriminate, it keeps everyone out equally, the dangerous people and the safe ones, the ones who will hurt you and the ones who will love you well. A boundary is flexible, it adapts to the person and the situation. It lets you say, I'll let you in slowly. I need to see consistency. I need to see respect. I need to see that you're safe before I trust you with more of me. Protecting your heart is not about keeping people out, it's about letting them in at the right place, at the right pace. The slow reveal. Think about your heart like a house. When someone new shows up, you don't hand them the keys to every room on day one. You start in the living room. You start how they treat the space. You see if they respect your furniture, your boundaries, your time. If they do, you invite them into the kitchen, maybe the hallway. Over time, if they prove themselves trustworthy, you show them more: the bedroom, the closet, the basement where you keep all the old messy stuff. But here's the key: you never hand over the keys completely. You always have the ability to say, this far and no further, not because you're hiding, but because trust is earned, not given. What seeking love actually requires. Seeking love requires you to be willing to be seen, not the curated version of yourself, not the highlight reel, the real you, the one with fears and flaws and a past, the one who has been hurt and is still brave enough to try. That kind of vulnerability is terrifying, and it should be, because love is risky. It always has been. Anyone who tells you love is safe is selling you something. But here is what I've learned: the risk of being hurt is real, but the risk of never loving, of never being loved, is worse. The regret of closing yourself off completely is heavier than the pain of a broken heart. How to know who to let in. So how do you protect yourself while still staying open? You learn to read people, not with suspicion but with discernment. Watch how they handle your no. If you set a small boundary early on, I can't talk tonight. I need some space. Watch how they respond. Do they respect it or do they push? Do they guilt you? Do they make it about them? That one interaction will tell you more than months of sweet words ever will. Watch for consistency. Anyone can show up well for a few weeks. The question is, do they show up the same way when they're tired, when they're stressed, when you're not at your best? Watch how they talk about their exes. Watch how they handle conflict. Watch how they treat people they don't need anything from. These are the signals. Learn to read them. Your heart will thank you. The paradox of protection. Here is the strange truth. The best way to protect your heart is not to make it harder to break. It's to make it easier to heal, because a heart that knows how to heal is not afraid of being broken. It knows the pain won't kill it. It knows it has survived before and it will survive again. It knows that heartbreak is not the end. It's just a really hard chapter. When you know you can heal, you don't need walls, you need wisdom, you need patience, you need the courage to try again without the desperation that makes you ignore red flags. So here is the balance. Protect your heart by knowing your worth, by having standards that aren't negotiable, by moving slowly and letting trust build over time, by listening to your gut when it tells you something is off, by being willing to walk away when someone shows you who they really are, and seek love by staying open, by being willing to be seen, by taking the risk of reaching out, by not punishing new people for what old people did to you, by letting yourself hope carefully, wisely, but genuinely. You can do both. You can be cautious and still be warm. You can be discerning and still be kind. You can protect your heart without closing it. The goal is not to never get hurt again. The goal is to love wisely, with your eyes open, with your standards clear, with your heart available but not desperate. You don't have to choose between safety and love. You just have to learn the difference between a wall and a door, and and keep the keys in your hand.